Tonight, taking on the Tinder Swindler. They were looking for a Prince Charming.
He had some selfies, a picture in a nice car. You could see that it was a private jet, just an overall package.
He arrived bearing presents and a high-flying lifestyle, but it was all fake.
I was the proper milking cow for him.
All my savings disappeared, and then all of a sudden I didn't have anywhere to live.
One of the most notorious romance scammers.
$20,000, $30,000,
$140,000.
In a widely watched documentary exposing his scheme to defraud multiple victims, who are now determined to stop the next love-bombing con artist.
How many people love a true crime?
And what happened when they confronted him.
You actually confronted him. What did you say to him?
This special edition of Nightline, taking on the Tinder Swindler. We'll be right back. Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight, taking on the Tinder Swindler. Two women who lost nearly everything after falling for one of modern day's most notorious love-bombing con artists, now becoming advocates. They're joining forces and sharing their stories in a brand new book called Swindled Never After, out today, all to help others from falling for the next romance scammer. Here's ABC's James Longman.
At a tech conference half a world away,
Thank you.
one of the keynote speakers prepares an unusual presentation. Amid the rows of finance wizards wearing headsets, her story isn't about crypto or tariffs. You might recognize her face,
Thank you.
but might not remember why just yet.
My first question now then is, how many people love a true crime here? Yeah, a lot of us do, right? And suddenly I ended up in one myself. Because yes, I am the girl from the Tinder Swindler.
$20,000, $30,000.
$140,000.
His life depended on me. That's when police tell me the man I loved was never real. Everything's a lie.
3 years ago, the story of Simon Levayev, aka the Tinder Swindler, took the world by storm, becoming Netflix's most watched documentary ever at the time, and making household names out of some of Simon's accusers, like Cecilia Filhoy and Pernilla Schuholm.
Gosh, I was in shock that it became so huge. All these memes, like everything running around. I literally locked myself in the house for the first 2 weeks.
But it all first started on Nightline 3 years before that. The first time Cecilia shared her story on American television, it was with us.
It's very tired about crying over this, you know, but it just comes and I can't help it. It's just so painful because I hate myself I just hate that I did this, you know.
Their stories becoming a cautionary tale for modern life, the perils of online dating, and the dangers of romance scams. That's why they're still talking about it here today, to help others see the signs of scams before falling to them themselves.
It's more than just money lost. And how I view it in a bigger picture, these money are going to criminals. So even if you don't care that I'm losing my money, do you really want to fuel criminal networks? You know, it's high crime, and that is what I'm feeling. Don't forget about me. This is not great for society that we're just letting these criminals take all this money.
If you don't remember the saga, here are the highlights. Cecilia was living in London when she matched on Tinder with a young man going by the name Simon Levayev.
This guy, Simon, comes up on my phone, and you can see that he lives a very different life than what I'm living. He had some selfies, a picture in a nice car. You could see that it was a private jet, just an overall package.
In the blink of an eye, a modern love story began to unfold. Cecilia swept away by her new boo to faraway trips and showered with expensive gifts.
It was the first time where I felt, oh my God, I really like him, and it seems that he really likes me back as well. You like the feeling of being liked.
When do you consider yourself to be his girlfriend?
I think it was maybe a month after that.
Simon's name, Levayev, on Tinder was the same as an Israeli family controlling $1 billion diamond empire, implying he was part of the family, according to authorities. Cecilia says Simon told her that his job as a diamond dealer kept him traveling constantly, so they dated long distance, their romance conducted via modern-day love letters in texts. Video messages and voice recordings.
I wish you a great and a beautiful and a successful and amazing day as you. Kisses.
So there's nothing during this time that's making you think this isn't real, he's fake?
Oh no, no.
Good night, my love. I miss you so much. I can't wait to see you.
But amidst the jet-setting lifestyle, Cecilia says that Simon tells her he's surrounded by enemies. Soon, there's another troubling element to his story. She says he asked her to extend her line of credit to him so that plane tickets, hotels and dinners will be booked using her name, keeping supposed enemies off his trail. Cecilia says she took out loans she could never repay in order to help her new love.
How do you go from being with someone who's presented as a very wealthy man to someone who you now need to give money to?
It's protection. I know it's not right, but he needed my name as a cover, he said.
Protection from?
His enemies, as he's calling them.
You just believed him when he said that?
I know it sounds so crazy, and I wish I could take everything back. It's more like when you have a bodyguard, why would this giant guy be with him if he didn't need the protection?
Cecilia says Simon promised to pay her back, but the repayments were nowhere to be seen, despite his insistence they were on their way. Simon Levayev, it turns out, was not who he said he was, according to authorities. His real name is Shimon Hayut, an Israeli citizen with no ties to the Levayev family. He was a convicted fraudster who previously had served prison time for fraud in Finland and in Israel.
How much are we talking here? Sort of all the loans, all the money that you gave to Simon or he defrauded from you. What's the ballpark figure?
At £200,000.
But you also then were made liable for the legal fee.
Yeah,
well,
that was hilarious.
Cecilia wasn't the only one. The Tinder Swindler story followed multiple women who Simon allegedly conned, including Pernilla, who also met Simon on Tinder. While they didn't date, she says that didn't stop him from siphoning money from her as well.
So financially, I mean, were you financially ruined?
All my savings disappeared. I was supposed to buy a new apartment. I had just sold mine recently. And yeah, and then all of a sudden I didn't have anywhere to live.
Could you give me a ballpark figure on the amount of money that he took from you? Do you know?
I had to go in and calculate it, roughly $65,000, but it affected more afterwards because I had to take a loan for lawyers, all of that. So I would say roughly, if you calculate everything with interest and all of that, what this fraud has actually cost me, it's around $100,000.
Simon was arrested in Greece for using a forged passport. He was extradited to Israel, where he was convicted and sentenced to 15 months in prison for fraud, of which he served 5. None of the charges were related to Cecilia and Pernilla's cases. For Cecilia and Pernilla, the story quickly became about much more than money.
Do you still find it hard to believe that the Simon that you knew then never existed? Is that still a disconnect for you?
Yeah, and I think for fraud victims, that is the most horrible thing. Even this relationship that you thought you were in, sometimes at least you can feel, well, if you were in a bad relationship, at least the love, at the start was real. But everything was just to take your money, from the start,
That's the depth of the sort of psychological damage, if you like.
It's such a deceit. I was the proper milking cow for him. I paid for those fancy hotels, but I was in London working. I didn't even see, so when you see the documentary and you see all the party videos and stuff, I never got those. I never received those.
The parties were for other people?
Yeah, those videos, I paid for those.
Cecilia was economically devastated. She filed for bankruptcy. It's been years and she's still picking up the pieces.
When you say that person doesn't exist anymore, how does that make you feel?
It's sad. I haven't had a long-term relationship after him. He destroyed my life in a sense where I'm still trying to pick up the pieces of that reality because of everything that happened afterwards.
When we come back,
I think I'm being Tinder swindled is a verb.
The fight to stop the next romance scammer.
The type of person that can share intimate information with someone while plotting how they are going to steal their money is a very special type of evil person.
And the women come face to face with the Tinder swindler.
So in Israel, you actually confronted him. What did you say to him?
Stay with us. After going public with their stories, many were quick to criticize the women for falling prey to Simon's alleged trap. But in the middle of falling in love, it's not so easy to spot the signs.
These scammers are people who have trained themselves how to be absolutely psychologically manipulative.
Erin West used to prosecute sex crimes in California. She now runs a non-profit, Operation Shamrock, that targets romance scammers around the world.
When we think about romance scams, we often think of a pathetic older woman with cats sitting at her house being misled by someone who allegedly lives on an oil rig. So these are long cons. There is a grooming process that takes place where scammers take their time to get to know people, and they present things in really attractive ways that are appealing. And when we think of some of the really horrendous romance scammers, the things that they offer are things that you wouldn't expect. When somebody offers you a ride in a private jet and to stay in an elegant hotel, these are things that are really appealing and hard to turn down. These are professionals who have figured out how to lure people in with really special treats that they wouldn't normally get to experience.
Spotting the signs of a fraud is the name of the game. Cecilia and Pernilla are now determined to make sure others don't suffer the same fate they did.
But to tell this story,
Cecilia travels the world, attending conferences and warning people.
We're gonna find them. I'll find his Facebook page.
hi,
Expose them.
you're right.
Were the tears real? And bring them to justice.
She's hosting a new show on Netflix, LoveCon Revenge, where she targets alleged romance scammers. She and Pernilla have written a book, Swindled Never After, which tells their story of life after the Tinder swindler and how others can avoid the same trap.
If there's someone watching this now and they might be in this position, what advice would you give them?
If you have anyone you trust, please reach out. There's several organizations that you can reach out to that helps. Talk about it. Report it to the police. I know a lot of people don't report because they feel, what difference will it make?
Because there's so much shame attached to this.
And
I think that's the overwhelming thing, is people feel embarrassed.
Yeah. I hate that everyone thinks this is just stupid old women that this is happening to. It's 50-50. This is not a gendered crime. There's so many men sitting there. You know, if you think about online dating, if you meet a beautiful young woman, you know, what are the outcomes that, you know, from societal point, there's more normal for a man to send money to a woman than vice versa. So I can imagine the dark numbers there, which I think is heartbreaking.
Simon still has a large presence on social media. He was reportedly kicked off of Tinder and several other dating apps, but he has done little to keep himself out of the spotlight, appearing on Inside Edition.
You don't feel bad for them in any way?
I feel bad for something that I didn't done. No, I feel bad for whatever happened to myself.
And on various podcasts, like Crypto OG's podcast.
This movie has portrayed me as the villain, as the bad guy who taking from girls and funding with it my private jets and everything like this, which obviously was not true.
So, Vibes podcast.
I've watched the series, you know, and the first thing I hate to start a podcast like this, but the first thing I think is this guy's a scammer. Is it true? Did you scam those women? Did that happen?
No.
The Ahmed Mahmoud Show.
How would you introduce yourself?
Simon Levaev, aka the Tinder Swindler. It's part of who I am, and I have no problem whatsoever. I don't take it as an insult.
All the while denying the accusations against him.
He's been on all over social media. How does that make you feel that he's so public?
Yeah, every time I hear his voice, it's just, you know, it's traumatizing just to hear that voice. I think they view him as an entertainment spectacle that's interesting to just who are you. It's very frustrating. You know, I had an intimate relationship. When I say that, people are like, oh, but think about it. And he's my abuser, and he's sitting there, and he's, you know, leaned into the gold digger, that we were the one using him, that he spent so much money on us.
So when we think about someone like Simon who says, I did not defraud these women, I mean, let's take that apart. Let's talk about what defraud means. Defraud is you are telling someone something that isn't true to get them to do something, which is exactly what he did in this case. He led them to believe things that were not at all true in order to get them to finance his high-end lifestyle. It's the very definition of defrauding.
Even though Simon has been convicted of fraud in the past, he's not been charged with any crimes when it comes to Cecilia and Pernilla's accusations. He's facing a civil lawsuit in Israel by the Levayev family for defamation, invasion of privacy and breach of trademark for claiming to be a part of their family. And according to prosecutors, he could be facing further criminal charges there.
What does justice look like for you?
Justice have changed so much throughout the years, but of course I'm helping up with the court case in Israel. I mean, anything I can do revolving around his fraudulent behaviors and his criminal cases he have against him, I am there to testify and I am there to help, but I am not out there looking after what he's doing. I just don't want any more people to get hurt.
And do you think that justice looks like him being extradited to the UK to face
I would have loved
trial?
I would have loved it.
But you don't think that's going to happen?
I just think he's such a slippery eel and has been avoiding everything. So our biggest hope is the trial in Israel, because he will get jail time there too.
We reached out to Simon several times for comment, but he declined our request for an interview. Cecilia and Pernilla say they travelled to Israel during one of his court appearances.
So in Israel, you actually confronted him? Because between when I saw you last and now, you've seen him?
Yeah.
And what did you say to him?
I just said, how is it to be a fraudster? And then he said, took his sunglasses off and said, you're a liar. And I laughed in his face, and then he tried to escape. Then I tried to say, I was yelling out his real name because he hates it. Shimun Hayut, Shimun Hayut. Because he was trying to escape, go into his car.
Do you feel like you said what you wanted to say?
Yeah, I was like, be a man, you know, you talk a big game, you know, but when it comes to it, you're nothing. Like, he is nothing.
Regardless of what happens, Cecilia and Pernilla say they're transforming their pain into purpose.
Was he a real CEO of this company? No.
Becoming victims advocates and best friends. They both say they're using the chapter of their lives with the Tinder Swindler as a cautionary lesson.
Just the speaking and seeing that when you're up on stage, you tell your private story, and then I tell some of the why I think we have the problem that we have, and then every single time people come up to me and they then share their own stories. How can I do advocacy? How are you doing it? And it's just, you know, being vulnerable makes other people be vulnerable with you too. And that's how I see how big of the issue is and how important it is to continue.
He'll be watching this. What would you say to him?
Nothing. I have nothing to say to him. Absolutely nothing. I mean, I don't care about his opinion. I don't care about him at all. And I am still working on getting him to prison and all the others. So, I mean, enjoy jail.
Our thanks to James. And we'll keep tracking all the twists in this story. That's Nightline for this evening. Thanks for the company, America. Good night.